Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
2006. Bumming a ride from a friend that drives an 18-wheeler because I can't afford to fly or get a bus. He's driving us down a rural highway through Arizona around 1 a.m. Literally nothing but the highway, mountains, and desert. Talking and listening to the radio as we go. Hey man, look at that hitchhiker. See a scraggly guy in shabby pants and a red flannel shirt standing at the road's edge. We drive by him because hitchhikers tend to stab you. Still driving down the dark rural highway. Yawn, then look out the passenger window. Yell, "What the fuck?" as I see the scraggly dude running alongside us. The 18-wheeler is going at 85 miles per hour. Friend sees what I'm yelling about and opens up the throttle as far as it can go. 18-wheeler is now doing about 100 miles per hour. He is still running alongside us. I'm freaking out and asking if my friend has a gun. He says to chill. We'll be okay. Switch to freaking out internally. After what felt like an eternity, we cross a bridge over a dried-up riverbed. Scraggly guy no longer following us. Turn to my friend and ask if he knew what the hell that was. He casually replies he doesn't know what it was chasing us, but that they show up every now and again in Arizona, and that they never follow once you cross a bridge. My face when? TLDR. Fuck Arizona.
This happened to me when I was stationed in Jacksonville, North Carolina, for combat training. For the last part of training, you have to march out 7 or so miles out into the forest to Camp Devil Dog, which is where they have the simulated Arab village and a couple of longhouses to sleep. No running water, just a few generators for electricity. Anyways, there's 2 people per platoon that must be on fire watch, aka guard duty, throughout the night. Shifts were an hour long, and it sucks because you'd rather be sleeping. Me and a buddy got lucky and pulled fire watch at 2 a.m. So there was the usual stupid ghost story thing going around about a church that burned down before the base was built. Kids died, yada yada. Kids' ghosts haunted the area at night, so they said. Anyways, I wanted to explore the surrounding area just a bit, to kill some time and make the shift go by faster. It was really dark, cold, and windy that night. So we were walking down the main road that led to the camp. Also, just to give a bit more background, since it was a military base, it was completely fenced off to the public, and we had our rifles, even though we just had them loaded with blanks. My friend had smuggled a few cigarettes out with him, which was a no-no for combat training. No tobacco till we were done. So naturally, we were trying to be discreet about it, since a cigarette cherry can be spotted from afar in total darkness. We put a little distance between us and walked about 20 feet into the tree line. That's when things got weird. Did I mention it was windy? It was blowing pretty hard. Once we stepped into the forest, it just suddenly stopped, which was fine because it was so windy it would have been hard to even light a cig. But then I realized it was dead quiet and pitch black and started to get an uneasy feeling out of nowhere. As soon as I felt that feeling of dread, I could see my friend's slightly worried face from the glow of the cig that he felt something too. I was excited for that cig all day, and both of us felt like all of a sudden it was a big mistake. That's when we heard it. Distinctive children's laughter coming from deeper in the forest, moderately loud from about 50 feet away. I stared in the direction and cursed myself for destroying my night vision from lighting that damn cigarette. My buddy and I both whip out our flashlights. We heard the laughter again, much closer this time, still saw nothing. That's when I heard the patter of footsteps approaching from the forest. We were preparing to nope when I saw it come from behind a tree. A deer. A large doe. Oh, that's not the strange thing. It walked right up to us and just stood there. I've never seen a deer do this. I reached out and it let me pet it. My friend and I hadn't said anything for over a minute, just petting a wild deer in the middle of the woods. My friend lit up another cigarette, and we were like, is this real life? The deer didn't move at all. Finally, we finished the cigarette, and it was time to head back. I said, goodbye, dear. And as soon as I said it, she pranced off in the direction she came from. As soon as it got deeper in the forest and out of sight, that's when we heard it again. A child's laughter trailing deeper into the woods just where the deer was. We weren't scared anymore, though. As soon as we exited the tree line, the wind started blowing again.
Here's one that happened to me when I was around 17 or so. Be at friend's house with bros for 2 days of vidya, hide and seek. Friend had a huge basement filled with random shit, fun as hell to play hide and seek there, even as old as we were, and movies. Winding down for the night. 4 of us in sleeping bags sprawled out in the game room. Wake up in the middle of the night. Someone is touching my face, basically a series of light brushes on my forehead and cheek. Figure it's one of my friends trying to pull that tickle shaving cream self-slap bullshit you do to sleeping people as a prank. Nice try. No answer. Brushes continue. Seriously, I'm up. Quit. Still nothing. Brushing. Sit up in the dark, can't see shit, but still not scared. Think it's someone being an ass. What, seriously? What do you want? No answer, but brushes stop. Now starting to nope a bit. Guys? Hear sleepy MITZU from various other parts of the room. None close enough to me to be touching me. Everyone fucking up! Jump to my feet, at the lights instantly. Turn them on. Nothing. Just friends lying around in sleeping bags, looking sleepy and confused as hell. Suddenly an open door behind me slams. Meganope.jpg. We search the basement armed with sports equipment and pool cues. Never find anyone. Never did figure out what the hell happened, but it certainly funned up the rest of the night with vidya. No one was going back to sleep after that shit.
Nobody believed me. Still sends chills down my spine. B16, 3-week summer job cleaning at the local hospital. Same shit all day every day. Last Monday, supervisor asks me if I can work an hour late. Needs me to cover for someone who reported himself sick. Sure, why not? Turns out I have to clean the hallway to the morgue. I remember it all very clearly. Cleaning the floor. Hallway is about 10 meters long, so took some time. The hallway was empty. Only a sign saying morgue hanging from the ceiling. Only half of the lights were lit, as was usual for halls where no patients came, at least living ones, lol. Halfway done when the door of the morgue opens and a morgue assistant comes out and locks the door. The sudden noise spooked me a bit, but I said good evening, and the man left using the doors on the other end. 10 minutes later I'm done, and I clean my supplies back up in my cleaning cart. Just when I'm done, I hear the door of the morgue opening behind me. Think nothing of it, but 1 second later, I realize the guy who left locked the door. Look back. I freeze as I witness before me. A tall, bald man stands at the doors of the morgue. Feeling of dread washes over me. I bolt to the other door, and before I close it, I look back. The man is gone and the double doors are shut. Don't know if locked or not. Was GTFO.exe. I ran with my cart, all the way to the elevator where I went upstairs into the main hall. People surround me and I felt safe once again. I never felt so incredibly scared in my life. But the second part did it for me. The next day, I hesitated but came to work anyway. I sit in the room where the cleaners gather, waiting for my shift to start. The guy who should be cleaning the hall yesterday sat next to me. I tell him what happened. He was the first to believe me. Whilst telling him the story, his face went pale. He tells me almost the exact same thing happened to him.
Green gates on the side lead up a path to a bigger spiked gate. That shitty mesh fence stops where the spiked gate starts, and a spiked fence surrounds the whole generator and joins to another spiked fence running from left to right at the end of the path. Hang around the top end of the path that runs up because we get less hassle, and it doesn't actually go anywhere so no one uses it. Hanging around there one night with some friends, having a smoke and a drink. Anytime anyone needed a piss, they would climb the fence and piss just around the corner because it goes about 6 feet back. Then there's a spiked fence and a shitload of brambles blocking the end. Been there from about 4 in the afternoon. It's now about 9 p.m. and starting to get dark. No street lights anywhere, so we leave when it's too dark because you can't see anything. People been using the pissing alley without incident. Friend climbs the fence to go for a piss. Peeks his head around the corner and jumps back over the fence. Said there's someone in the pissing alley. What? Guy in his 50s wearing a suit, carrying a briefcase and like a Mac over his arm just walks around the corner and stares at us. He seems more startled than us. Lads, listen. Everyone nopes the fuck out and just bolts. Run out the cut and down the street a little, then stop to see where he goes. Doesn't come out, but a bunch of rough kids go down the pathway. They come back out still laughing and joking around about 15 minutes later. Arm ourselves with whatever is lying around and go back up the pathway. Literally no one around, just us. Never see the dude before or since. Have no idea how he even ended up there or how he left. Literally been back up that pathway maybe twice when it's dark in the last 10 years because of it. It really spooked me. I wish I had better pics of the area so I could describe it better, though.
Wow, terrifying. He just left a non or a well-to-do citizen was just scared of encountering a gang of chavs in the wild.
Are you autistic? So he left and went where? There's one way in and one way out. We went out the only way you can go out. Once you're out back on the main street, it's a straight stretch of road left, right, and opposite for a good 400 meters at the very least. The road down is 4 lanes wide and very well lit, the same as both left and right. The question wasn't who he was, it was how he got there and where he went. The green on the left is a garden of no relevance. The green behind is a school field of no relevance. The green in the middle is the grass we stood on. The black circle is where we stood for 5 hours or so. The gray to the side of that is the pathway. The light gray is gravel. The yellow is the pissing area which was used by us from when we got there. The red are brambles. The arrow is the direction he came from. So what you're saying happened is an older man dressed himself to go to his office job at 9 p.m. on a Saturday. Either climbed over a 6-foot spiked metal fence to cut across 2 rugby pitches to climb his way through brambles, just so he could climb over another spiked metal fence to stand in our piss, without as much as creasing his trousers, or he came out of his back door. Went through his own back garden to climb over a spiked metal fence to stand in our piss. That's your answer. Let's assume he managed to do all of this, and we somehow didn't manage to hear any of it standing less than 15 feet away. Let's assume he did do that, and assume he went back the same way. Why do it? Or assuming he went out the same way as us, he did what? Climbed over the fence, managed to catch up to us, and then overtake us without any of us noticing. Mystery solved then. Someone who wanted to avoid a gang of chavs went through all that hardship so he could bump into a gang of chavs. It makes perfect sense if I think of it that way.
I wish I had a logical mind like you geniuses.
Youngish me, 10 or 11, walking down a road late one night that runs parallel alongside a narrow river. Notorious road just like the ones in horror/slasher movies where it looks like the trees swallow it up. Trees lining the road make it unnaturally dark. No traffic due to late hour, and almost no sound except the soft sound of water flowing in the distance. No sidewalk to walk on, just a shallow, narrow ditch before the trees along the river embankment. Tops of trees cut by a magnificently clear night, stars dazzling like jewels and a bright white full moon. Shortly after entering the wooded area, notice a black shape roughly 4 foot tall in a clearing along the riverbank ahead and to my right. Think to myself it must be my imagination, probably a tree trunk or something. As I approach, the details become alarmingly more clear. This thing looks to be made of shadow, but blacker than black, as if someone cut a hole in reality and left whatever this thing was in its place. Wings and tail like a miniature gargoyle. Thing standing perfectly still and looks as though it's praying to the moon. Begin to panic and break out in a cold sweat. It doesn't seem to notice me, or it's just outright ignoring me. Do not want to alarm this thing. Walk at my normal pace without making a stir, convinced that running in a panic would be utterly futile. Lock my gaze on the shadow thing as I pass it. Thing now only within a few feet of me, and the reality of the situation sets in. Heart now pounding loudly in my ears like I'm underwater. Somehow force myself not to freak out and asphyxiate. Pass the shadow creature, but keep my eyes fixed on it. Thing doesn't move, thankfully. Finally break my gaze, but continue to walk at the same pace. Try my best not to look back or think of it. Finally reach my destination later that night. Quietly cry myself to sleep.
I live in Japan, kind of a rural area. My hobby is cycling around looking for shrines. I love shrines. I've visited hundreds of them. I find a shrine on top of a hill, not uncommon. I climb up, do my prayer thing, and turn back down the hill. I get a weird feeling. Look back, and a Shinto priest is standing there, only he's not. The best way I can describe it is my brain is processing his image to the slightest detail, but my eyes only see stone steps. He has piercing eyes, a black robe, and a ceremonial staff with white ribbons. I hear a voice in my head, a really frightening voice, and I understand that he's telling me to leave and never come back, that this shrine isn't meant for me. I apologize and explain that I mean no harm, but all he says is to leave. I'm not in the right place. I hightail it out of there. Later on, I learn that that particular shrine was offered to a grave not far away, of bombing victims, all civilians, who couldn't be identified. Even locals are reluctant to visit that shrine. I've been meaning to post this on here for a long time. You'll like this one because it actually happened. It's my first time doing a long green text, so bear with me. Be about 12 years old. Had several brothers who at this point were all at college. Inherit pseudo-master bedroom. Room was about as long as a hallway, pretty narrow too, and the wall facing outside was almost completely covered in windows. There was no ceiling lighting, so I normally kept all the shades up. Also, no central cooling, so in the spring and summer I would keep the windows open. Walking across my hallway room when I see someone walking across the sidewalk in front of my house. Overweight, middle-aged woman in geisha clothing walking slowly. Woman is dressed in what easily could be mistaken for curtains. Her body was weirdly misshapen and lumpy. Looked like she was stuffing pillows under her clothes. Hair was slightly grayed and woven into a rat's nest. Clearly Caucasian face was so incredibly caked in makeup. The combination of the makeup and droopy wrinkled facial features made her face look heavy and fake. Didn't even do the geisha face right. Way too much dark eyeshadow. As soon as I look at her, she stops in her tracks and casually turns and looks me right in the eyes. Please don't steal my soul.gif. Because of the number of windows in my room, I had to fucking dive to get out of view. Stay pinned to the carpet for like 2 minutes before crawling across my room to look out of a different window. Peek my head out to see if she's still there. She's standing in the same spot and already making eye contact with me. I fucking drop. Stay pinned to the floor for like 15 minutes. Even though my parents were just downstairs, I felt totally isolated and vulnerable. Eventually, I crawl downstairs and tell my parents about it. They saw her too. A lot of windows in that house, mostly natural lighting. It was really pretty. Parents didn't think much of her standing in front of our house staring at my room. Find out later from a friend that she is a crazy woman who, in proper Japanese style, spends her days wandering around the town. Fearful that she is going to break into my home and murder me for the rest of the time I spent in that house. Since I went to the trouble of making a second post, I might as well tell a couple stories that friend told me. Friend has to walk by a mental hospital on his way home from school. One day he is walking home and sees geisha woman walking around as usual. He keeps walking home. Begins to suspect that geisha woman is following him. Takes some weird turns to check if she is. She totally is. She follows him his entire walk home. My friend is walking home in the rain one day. Crazy guy hanging out by the sidewalk of the mental hospital. According to my friend, he's there pretty often. He yells at my friend from across the street. "Son, you are getting absolutely soaked. You are drenched. Where do you live?" He tries to get my friend to tell him where he lives. He wants to walk him home because it's raining so heavily. Don't doubt it. It makes total sense. My friend points in a general direction and says he has to be going. The rest of the day is uneventful.
This happened when I was about 15. Trying to fall asleep at midnight. It was Christmas holidays, so there were shit tons of bugs flying around. Hear soft banging against window. Window is in 3 layers. Glass outside, then a plastic membrane in the middle, and finally some security mesh, closest to the inside of the house. Banging gets a notch louder. Think it's just an insect that got trapped. Huge scratching noise happens right next to my head. Hear muttering and growls as it happens. Whatever it was screeches and runs off, with the running noise being really loud as the side of my house has brick tiles. Dad and twin are still awake. Tell Dad who is outside smoking what happened. Spend about 10 minutes searching around the house. Nothing. We even check my window, and there were absolutely no insects large enough to make that much noise trapped in between the glass and security mesh. See some lights in the sky as we do it, but think nothing of it. The creepiest thing is that the scratching was on my security mesh, which makes a distinct noise, but my glass window makes the loudest noise possible when opened. So it shouldn't be possible for it to scratch the mesh without alerting me to the groaning of my window. I tell my twin about it, as Dad went to sleep, and he shits himself. He was playing some video with people online with headphones on, so he didn't hear much, and probably thought it was someone on the server making the noise. The house is shaped like a square U, with some of my backyard being in the pushed-in area. Our bedroom is on one side, and where my brother was sitting was on the other side.
I'm deathly afraid of the paranormal, but I'll write some experiences. I don't think there are malevolent ghosts in my house, though, neutral or nice ones. Move into house. Very old wood panels. Be little girl. Dad tells me to hold a tool for him. peels wood back. Weird splotch of blood. Dad tells me it's paint, goes to get a towel. I look, and it's gone. I don't know why that happened, because nothing bad has happened since then. Dad telling me an old man with his cat lived here and died mysteriously in the house. I'm 7, and what is this? Pretext for the rest of the story. Our cats in this house are strangely attuned. One cat is always, all of a sudden, running and playing, going crazy. This cat is always quiet, laying around, doesn't play with other cats. Ears prick up, stares in the distance, then pounces and runs around for hours. The other 2 cats are more mellow, but they are often caught staring, both, in the same direction. You can see their eyes move. Probably the story that made me believe in ghosts. Be sitting with my dad and mom watching TV. I look out the door. I see a white cat, not ours. Dad, look at the kitty. There's no kitty there. I get up to follow it. It goes upstairs. I see the cat that is always playing with nothing pounce around on the stairs when she sees the white cat. All of a sudden stops, runs downstairs. Cat leads me to the room where the guy who lived before us died in. I see my other 2 cats outside it. They are meowing and screeching so strangely, almost sadly. Dad yells, "What are you doing to the cats?" Don't respond. White cat goes into the room. I'm crawling and peek through the door very slowly. It opens on its own. I see an old man hanging there. I'm super freaked out and scream as loud as I can. He wakes up, looks at me, says, "It's okay. You just need to understand. Parents get upstairs. Nobody is there, just my cats. They reassure me, etc."
Work in an old people's home that caters to mental health. No one is violent, just very simple. The building itself used to be a stately home. Not sure if this is a worldwide term or just British, but basically an old mansion. Have these shelving trolleys for transporting linen and towels. Enter staff-only section of the building to grab something. Room used to be a gymnasium situated at the end of one of the building's wings, but it is now a general storeroom. Dust particles suspended within beams of light that enter from high windows contribute to an overall gloomy vibe, but otherwise it's typically quiet and peaceful. Pretty isolated, though. On this particular occasion, I walk in through the double doors, and almost instantly, one of the trolleys is shunted, quite violently, into the middle of the room. The noise piercing the silence obviously draws my attention, but I just assume it's a maintenance guy moving stuff, because they don't give a shit. Doesn't take me more than a few seconds to scan the room and realize there is no one else there, however. Grab a hoist sling off a hook by the door and skedaddle right out of there. It's a bit of a taboo to talk of ghosts at work, but some of the foreigner staff seem to buy into the concept of certain residents remaining around once they pass away.
Be about 12, maybe 13. This was about 6 or 7 years ago. My cousins had recently moved to Utah, Orem, Provo area. Coincidentally, I now live with them. Me, my sister, and my 2 younger cousins go to a fort with my dad. My dad takes a picture of the inn when we get there. We wander around for a little while. It's raining, so we tend to stay inside. My cousin and I go into the inn to look around while my dad, sister, and other cousin go look at some war memorabilia. We wander around the house. I have an older digital recorder. My cousin has his cell phone camera. My cousin asks me, "Are you still recording?" I say, "Yeah." Nothing interesting happens. Leave the inn, go to a cemetery at the fort. Dad leaves me and my cousin there for an hour because we were being mean to my sister. We get home and check the photograph my dad took. In the lower window of the inn, there is a silhouette of a man. We zoom in on it, and it looks exactly like the innkeeper who used to own the inn during the Civil War. There weren't any pictures of him or cutouts in the window when we took the picture, though. We saw nothing in the window with our naked eye. We listened to my audio recording, and right after my cousin asks, "Are you still recording?" we hear an extremely low voice say, "Are you taking a video of me?" Still kind of freaks me out to this day. I know that wasn't very nope-ish. Sorry. The next two are, though. At least, in me and my cousin's opinion. Be me. Still living in California with Mom. Be about 17. Moved away from my hometown, Temecula, 2 years before. But still drive down there to see my friends. Drive down to Temecula to see friends. End up going to this really rad abandoned mansion at around 9 p.m. Me, a good friend of mine, who turned out to be a huge cuck. His friend, and a girl who was obsessed with me. The mansion is awesome, but to get there you have to walk about a mile down a horse trail, and then about a half mile through some open fields and up a hill to get there. 3-story house with huge barn and pool. Totally trashed by stoners throwing parties. Santa Claus statue with a knife taped to his hand. Other random shit. Not very spooky at first. None of my friends wanted to go inside, so I walked in with nothing but my Zippo. Some creepy writing on the walls, but plenty of non-creepy shit too. Call friends into the room. We explore the house for a bit. We get bored and start walking back to my car. About a quarter of the way down the horse trail, we hear a high-pitched scream, freak out and look behind us. See what looks like a humanoid shadow following us. Run to my car, go to friend's house, and play Guitar Hero till around 11 p.m. I had to do the 30-minute drive home alone. Needless to say, it was quite scary. That's not the last time I saw the shadow, though. Be me, about 18 at this point. Still live with my mom in California. Cousin came out to California to visit. Me, him, and a friend of ours named Evan go hiking and then hit up the movies. Get out of the movies at around 8 p.m. Start driving back to my town because Evan lived about a half mile away from my house and my cousin was spending the night. Stop by a Taco Bell and hang out there for a little bit. Buy some food for the rest of the drive. End up parking at a corner by my high school. At this point, it's about 9 p.m. Eating tacos, listening to the radio, having general fun in my car. Live in the middle of nowhere, so it's really dark because the city is too poor to afford streetlights. Cousin sitting in the passenger seat. Looks at a wall behind us and starts freaking out, screaming, "Do you see that thing watching us?" I turn around and see a shadow figure peeking around the corner of the wall, just staring at us. Evan doesn't see it and thinks we're messing with him. Shit bricks, drop Evan off at his house, and go to my house. Take my cousin to my room. One of my dogs is in there, and just starts freaking out on my cousin. Literally bites him. This dog had never acted up before. Cousin leaves the next morning. Still have no clue why my dog hated him so much. We both remember the night and talk about it sometimes, but Evan still thinks we're just trying to scare him. No matter how much we swear, we aren't messing around.
Mine is barely anything, but I can guarantee you it's completely true. Used to work as security in a big guild hall in central London. Building has been there since 1311. Working the day after Christmas, literally nobody in the building except me and my partner, who was sat right next to me, sitting and watching some shitty Christmas movie on TV. See a shadow pass behind a glass exhibition case to our right. Mildly spooked, but shrug it off. Probably just boredom playing with me. Literally 30 seconds later, hear a door slam in the hall behind the exhibition cases. Partner and I look at each other. Did you hear that? Yeah, I'm gonna go check it out. Nothing to be seen anywhere. CCTV doesn't cover that door, but it does cover the rooms either side of it. And there were no intruders. That building was high class, so all the doors were heavy oak that nothing short of gale force winds could blow shut, let alone slam. There was also a library in the building that I used to despise patrolling through. I'd always feel like I was being watched or something any time I went in there, and on more than 5 separate occasions, I remember walking through it and distinctly hearing footsteps following about 6 feet behind me. I always said that it didn't matter whether or not you believed in ghosts. If you pulled a night shift there, you'd at least believe in them for the length of your shift.
Be an EMT, late night, 1 a.m. Get dispatched to a shortness of breath call, first one to arrive. See a dude sitting on his porch, no lights on. Ask him if he called EMS. Stands up and walks toward the ambulance. I wanted to load and go since the shift was ending soon. Gets in the ambulance, told my partners to get ready to start driving. At this point, the patient is sitting on the stretcher. Rolled up his long sleeves up, notice dry blood. Ask him if he's bleeding. Quiet, just staring at me. All of a sudden he tells me, once the door closes, I'm going to fucking kill you. Nope. Get out of the ambulance. Call my partner. Lock the ambulance with the patient inside and waited for police backup.
B19. Going through a quarter-life crisis. Going through a bad breakup. Be depressed. Rollerblade while listening to music at night to cope. 1 a.m. Family gets worried when I'm late and by myself. Me not caring goes out anyways. Skate on a different route than usual. Strange guy flags me down. I turn my music down. He doesn't say a word, gestures me to follow. I get uncomfortable. I ask if he can talk. He shakes his head no. I follow him to a dog park. We sit. He gestures asking where I live. I vaguely point in the direction. He then asks my age. I lie, saying I'm 16. Silence. I start gathering courage to say I have to leave. He puts his hand on my thigh. I don't like being touched. Level up. Uncomfortable +5. What the fuck +1? Nope +2. He then gestures the time-honored gesture. Be too much of a nice guy to leave. Feel like I'm about to get reverse Chris Chan by this guy. Tell him I have to go. He tries to tell me to stay. Gently grabs my hand. I said I was on my way to check in and my parents will be worried. He looks disappointed. I, as casually as I could, skate away from him. Turn the corner. I come fucking flying down the empty street trying to make sense of what the fuck just happened. I stopped going outside, to say the least.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel, as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.